Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Life with Goldie podcast, where we travel around the world talking to all the Golden Hoodie recipients about their trailblazer journeys in our ecosystem. I'm Mia Pacey, your host, also a Golden Hoodie recipient, but today we're joined with Thomas Theunen. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
And you're coming in to us all the way from Belgium, is that correct?
That is correct, yes. The small dot on a map, somewhere in Europe, somewhere in the middle.
Somewhere in the middle of all those European countries.
Yeah.
It's all right. Some people say somewhere down under is where Australia is. So we're similar in that instance. So today at the Golden Hoodies, so we're talking about how we came into the ecosystem, what our journeys were like when we first found Salesforce. You're very new to our Golden Hoodie recipients. I think you might be one of the newest I've interviewed, right? Where was that event?
Yeah, so it was in Chicago at Connections, my second Salesforce event even. So it was quite the upgrade from the last event, which was also Connections in 2019. But then something happened in the world and all events shut down and it was a quiet period for events.
I wonder what that was.
Let's not discuss that any further.
Yeah, that should not be named. Is that what we're calling it? Yeah, indeed. That's crazy. You went to Chicago. That's so exciting. I'm super jealous from down under here. But we'll get to your story about how the presentation happened shortly. Would you mind taking us through how Salesforce came into your life, how you started, how you got to where you are now?
Yeah, so... Well, my professional career started like a decade ago, where I was a Java developer for a completely different platform. And only 5 years ago, I came, by accident into the Salesforce ecosystem because we were looking at Demandware just in the year that Salesforce decided to acquire Demandware. So they rebranded it to Salesforce B2C Commerce Cloud. And I'll be completely honest, the whole Salesforce world, the first 3 years, we didn't really get into it because, it was an acquisition. Everything still needed to be transferred. And they pointed to Trailhead, but there was like 4 badges in total. So people weren't really into going to Trailhead. And there was a separate community platform still from the previous company called The Exchange. And that's where everyone was at. So we stayed in our little corner until Salesforce shut it down and moved it towards, at least closer towards the Salesforce community, but still a separate site. So we were still in our own little corner, separate site, etc. And after 2-3 years at my company, besides Commerce Cloud, we saw a need to also investigate the CRM and Marketing Cloud. And it's when I decided to also start looking into how development was in the core platform. And that's when I really started to get into Trailhead and to ask questions and see what was going on. And I met a lot of amazing people who would help me when I got stuck. And that's when I really saw that there was a whole world besides what I knew within Commerce Cloud. After a while, I did find there was a community on Slack. So there used to be an official Slack by Salesforce for Commerce Cloud, but they had to shut it down for certain reasons because it was official. And Slack wasn't acquired back then. So maybe they decided back then it would be a good idea to do the acquisition. And some people decided to build an unofficial one, but I didn't hear about it until I think end of 2018, beginning 2019. So I joined. More like a leacher, asking questions, getting some answers here and there, maybe some questions not being answered. That was the same time I was looking at Service Cloud, and I was seeing so many people answering my questions that maybe I should actually start sharing my knowledge from Commerce Cloud towards the community. And I just started. I started answering questions on the unofficial Slack. I came in contact with a lot of people, even within and outside of Salesforce. And I think that was when the biggest change in my life started to happening, at least in the career perspective, is that I got to know, it's a smaller group within Salesforce. Like Commerce Cloud is like a small speck compared to the CRM. And I got to know a lot of people within Salesforce who were giving lessons and who were product managers. And that's also how I got the opportunity to teach the architect course on the Trailblazer Academy. There's like 2 people now who are giving the course around the world. So it's quite a select group. And that gave me more confidence that I actually knew what I was doing, because people seemed to validate that the knowledge I had was something that was to be shared. So I started answering more and more questions and advertising the Slack community. And we've come to a point, actually, that I'm too slow to answer people's questions on Slack, that people are beating me to it before I even read a question, which was great. And I think at the end of 2021, I really started to decide to become active on Twitter. And that's when another world went open. Like, there's so many people active on Twitter. It's like, okay, nobody from Commerce Cloud, or at least a few people that I know, but not a lot. But for the rest of the ecosystems, there's like, it's a completely eye-opener, so to say. So I saw a lot of people started following some interesting people who were starting like their brands and doing blogs and podcasts and YouTube channels. I was thinking, maybe I should start a blog. Like, I tried before, but I never found the courage like to put it out there. Like, I always had the idea, I was, what if I'm wrong? What if people are going to comment that it's bad? And what if people don't like what I have to write about? And I just decided to just overcome that fear and started blogging like this year, somewhere in February. And people are really positive about it, which I'm glad about. And I also met people like Todd from Shirtforce, where I said, hey, maybe we can get some Commerce Cloud flavors into the whole community. Like, we're in a separate group. Maybe we should be more integrated, or at least get to know all of the other people within the community. And that's been my goal since the start of this year. Like, get some commerce flavors into Shirtforce, let people know about the community events that's going on. It was new for me as well, because when I got in the community, it was the start of the pandemic, which meant that everything shut down. So all of the community events I had on my radar all said, it's virtual or none at all. So for me, 2022 is also the year of the community events. Like, I'm watching what's going on and where can I go, maybe as a speaker, as a visitor, to get some commerce flavors in there as well. Because, like I said, it was a separated group. And that's what I've been doing until now. And then that's my journey for the past 5 years.
So it sounds like you kind of dipped your toe into different aspects of the community as it's kind of made themselves known to you, and then each one just got a little bit bigger as you realized how big they could be. That's awesome. Let's have a shout out to your blog. How do people find your blog?
So it's the Rhino Inquisitor. So it's Rhino-Inquisitor. I took a stab at looking at what newspapers were naming themselves, and I chose one. But the Rhino is something special. It is because Salesforce Commerce Cloud runs on a completely different stack than the CRM. And it uses the Apache Rhino engine. So that's why I chose the Rhino characters. Fit really into the trailblazing. It's an animal. It could be a character. So I decided to go completely with that one. And
maybe you've called out a character ahead of Salesforce. I wonder if Rhino as a character will come up. They'll have to just IP it to you.
I subtly already gave them some stickers like, here's a Commerce Cloud character that might be interesting, that I gave to some people at Connections. Fun. So maybe, who knows?
We'll see. Everyone keep your eyes open. Thomas's Rhino. No, that sounds fun. I'm so glad that you are now in the community and you're able to give back, and you've built a community so much so that people are also, as you said, beating you to the punch and answering people's questions ahead of that. That's a really good feeling, and it's really good to see that everyone in the community helps.
Yeah, so the whole Ohana thing was already present in the Salesforce Commerce Cloud community when I joined. Like in Slack, it was founded by 2 people, I think, and I joined the admin team like a few weeks ago. Like, it's the main channel that people are using. So Trailhead, it's becoming more and more active. People are asking more questions and people are answering there as well. I used to be the only one or one of 2. Maybe some people from Salesforce were answering questions, but now I've noticed that a lot of people I've started to pick up there as well, seeing that there's people asking questions beside the Slack channel. So I'm hoping more important people will notice, because it's an easier channel to keep track of different questions than Slack is. Now, Slack is awesome, but to find certain questions again, it's like a a documentation site by its own, but it's really hard to navigate in threads where the actual solution of your problem is. There's like no best answer check mark in a
oh yeah, true,
in a Slack, and conversations can go on for forever, for days, and somewhere in the middle might be the actual answer you need, and nobody's gonna find it.
Yeah, I've looked through Slack with like a keyword and I'm like, that's a completely out of context keyword. That's not the answer that I need. But you're right, it is endless sometimes.
And that's why I'm taking with my blog a few of those questions that keep coming over and over again, and then putting them in a step-by-step guide. Like, this is how you can fix that issue.
Yeah, perfect. So if anyone wants those like high level questions, head to your blog. You've got lots of those questions that have been answered.
And if you have something if people have things that they want me to write about, please send me some ideas. Like, I have a lot of ideas, but
yeah, well, if anyone else out there wants a Commerce Cloud topic covered, hit Thomas up. He's obviously on Twitter. So that's what every content creator wants, is you guys to come and tell us what you want to hear about, especially if we're writing blogs. I'm not a blogger. I'm a dyslexic thinker, so I'm not going to be putting my pen to paper anytime soon, but I have my own creative angles. But I understand
I cheat with Grammarly. Since English is not my primary language, I cheat with Grammarly to make sure that my sentences make sense most of the time.
Yeah, sometimes Grammarly is like, I can't help you. Like, that's just so out of whack. That's cool. So let's go back to that Connections in Chicago. You were obviously there in person, and could you take us through? Some of us have seen Golden Hoodies being presented. Some of us have seen it virtually, been there in the audience, but some of us haven't. Would you be able to walk us through what it felt like? How did you get there? What did they ask you to do? Did you know it was happening? What's it feel like?
So the whole Connections thing started when I was talking to Amalia, who is part of the Salesforce team, and she's now in charge of the community. And she asked, could you submit some topics to present at Connections? Like, we're looking for speakers. So I submitted some topics, but I had someone else within my company because I went already in 2019 and my spot was already promised. So I said, yeah, okay, maybe I can be on stage, but I'll put you on stage. Is that okay? And without hesitation, he said yes. So I submitted topics and I said, yeah, I won't be presenting. And there was a little bit of disappointment somewhere. That I could read in the Slack, and it's like, okay. And a week later, I think she sent a message, can we please have a quick meeting? I want to ask you something. It's like, okay, what's this about? She said, yeah, can you really come to, like, you said you were going to Dreamforce because, you had to select an event this year, and it's quite expensive for people from Europe to go to an event in the US. You have the same from the Australian perspective. Probably that's not the cheapest trip to do. Even for a company, because we're not such a big one that we can spend that amount for each event to send 20 people over there. So I said, I'm going to go. I chose Connections this year. I'm going to skip. I chose Dreamforce. I'm going to skip Connections. Said, yeah, can you switch them around? We want you in the keynote to present like 3 minutes about your journey. And it's like, okay,
wow,
that sounds like fun. Was not expecting this. Okay, yeah, let's switch around the plans. I'm coming. I'll drop Dreamforce and we'll add me to the team that's heading to Connections. I didn't really catch on to the whole Golden Hoodie. Even I was already glad. Like, okay, I can be in the keynote. Like, we were joking in 2019 when we were sitting in the keynote in the back. Well, my boss says he wasn't kidding, but I still think like it's okay. It's good to dream, but it's not an easy task to do. He said, next time we're coming to Connections, we're going to be on that stage. It's like, okay, it actually happened. So we're from the back to the central, which was quite already an amazing experience. Like, I was, okay, this is great. This is amazing. And I went to, got on a plane, did my test, which was, 24 hours before was just already a challenge to be able to get on a plane towards Chicago. But we got there in one piece. And I went there in the morning, had the breakfast, and she said, okay, we're going to, 1 hour beforehand, we're going to prep you and see what's happening. Still didn't really catch on. I had like preparation meetings for those those for those 3 minutes, like an hour and a half of meetings just to prep, to make sure it's all ready to go, and you stick within those 4 minutes, which turned out to be 3 minutes on the spot, it's really hard to put 5 years of a journey or 10 years in 3 minutes, but I tried to do it anyways. I should have read the Twitter handle because that keep on the goldies, which should have maybe given me a heads up. Well, that should have at least given me a hint, but still not really catch on. Yeah. So I'm sitting there in the middle and they're doing the presentation and they made a mistake. Like there's screens in the middle which show the current slide and the next slide or the next speaker. And I was sitting there like watching the presentation and I look at the screen and it says next speaker, Golden Hoodie recipient, Thomas. It's like, what?
Oh my goodness. You're like, that's not me. They picked wrong title, someone else.
It's like, what? Okay, I have to go up in 2 minutes. So I was just sitting there like, okay, focus on your 3 minutes, focus on your 3 minutes. You know it's going to happen at the end. And so I tried to act as surprised as possible. I was like completely flabbergasted, if that's the correct English word. Yeah, I think it is, flabbergasted.
Yep, it is. Yep.
But I did my 3 minutes. I got through it. And yeah, at the end, she asked, like, what fits? Because I did some advertising for Salesforce. I'm wearing the same one that I was at the Connections event. And she asked the question, what fits with a shirt? So no, and then they brought the Golden Hoodie. And it's like a wow moment. Like, I knew it existed. Like, you looked it up and you saw it happen at events, but you think, it's not for me. Like, I'm not doing enough to actually... I've been only active for a year, 2 years. What could I have done to actually get this thing that other people with completely different backgrounds and who have done a lot more than I have for the community have gotten, and MVPs, etc. So no, it was an amazing experience. Still a surprise. Like I was sitting there like, nah, it's not going to be me. And then you see that slide like, it is me? It's like, okay. But it's all still funny. Pretty new. Like it's still sinking in a little bit. It's
nothing to shy away from. I think everyone I speak to says, why me? Like what have I done that's good enough? But it's obviously someone at Salesforce has recognized what you're doing is good and they want to highlight that and make sure that you can continue on that journey, almost like a springboard for you to keep doing what you're doing, and an acknowledgement that what you're doing is good. So yeah, everyone thanks you for giving back, especially in your unique community. I don't think anyone else, like I haven't spoken to anyone else in that cloud space.
No, congratulations. It's been confirmed. It's the first Commerce Cloud Golden Hoodie that's been given out. It makes sense, but I think the Golden Hoodie started in 2016. And that's when the acquisition of B2C Commerce Cloud happened. So it makes sense that would be strange that during the acquisition already a Golden Hoodie would be given to someone in the Salesforce community, especially, like I said, we were living in our separate little community group. Maybe we'll do a revival of at least in an event, but that's something that I'm still thinking about. Maybe that's a good idea or not, but we'll see. We'll see. I have a lot of ideas, but so little time.
Exactly. And there's like, as you say, like you give back on so many different angles and channels at some point, and you just, you get overwhelmed at things, and it's okay to be like, today, this is what I'm doing. I'm writing a blog post and not doing anything else. So yeah, no, that's awesome. And you're giving back so much already on your journey through Salesforce and Trailhead and all the Trailhead communities that you've seen. How important has that community been to your growth and your journey?
Yeah, so the community itself has been a gigantic help towards my growth. Like even, I think many people say this, but answering questions is also a teaching moment. Because you see a question and it's like, I actually don't know this answer, but I have the tools to figure out that this person does not have yet to come to an answer quickly. So I open another window, I look it up in the documentation, like I didn't know this. Oh, there it is. I copy paste the link saying this is the answer you need. And now I know it as well, or at least I have it somewhere in the back of my mind. And I think in 3 months, I learned more about Salesforce B2C Commerce Cloud and Salesforce in general than I did in the 3 years before, because I was
Wow.
within a company, we're living in a bubble. You were asking the people around you questions, but that knowledge is limited to, because we were new to the platform. Of course, people ran on different projects into different issues or challenges, and they came with answers. But there's a whole set of other partners and customers who have their own challenges and are willing to share those challenges with you to come to a solution. And that's a really teachable moment for yourself. Like, okay, I'm not running into this challenge right now, but if I do, I already have the answer, or at least something in my arsenal as an option to tackle that specific issue. And maybe I don't need it now. Maybe I've forgotten by then, but I've written down a lot of things also for blog posts, etc. And I know I can remember that I answered a question, maybe not the answer. So I'm really good at searching. This is one of the big things that will help you for a long time is how to Google and how to look up stuff, even in your own Outlook history or your own Gmail history, keyword usage. And that's a gigantic pool of knowledge that you can access. With that knowledge from developer to technical lead to architect and now the head of commerce within Forward, where I am guiding around 40 developers and hopefully sharing my knowledge with them so that they can tackle the challenges that they're hitting. And also, of course, outside of Forward to other partners and customers who are working with Salesforce B2C Commerce Cloud and need some help here and there. And a lot of people are doing that. So it's great.
Yeah, I love that skill, Googling or looking it up. I think it's 100% such a key skill for people to have the ability to then find the answer. I think some people just don't see that as such a high importance, but I'm like, this is key, guys. Like, Googling or the ability to look it up.
You can't remember everything. Like, you can know high level, and I'm not sure who said it. Knowing where to find the answer is half the battle. Like, you don't need to know the answer, but knowing where the answer might be is you're already halfway there because you're looking at in the correct space. So that's
so true. That's a good one. I like that one. And so walking through your journey as you started sort of a unique space or angle. When someone is in a similar situation to yourself, and when you look back and starting out, what advice would you give those trailblazers as they're starting out, thinking that they may have a similar journey to yourself?
Yeah, the first thing is there's a new trailblazer community for Commerce Cloud on Trailhead. So that's one to join, where all of the news is being shared by Salesforce and where I post my blog post and other useful information. And also a link on how to join the unofficial Slack, where most of the B2C Commerce Cloud people live, where you can ask for help, maybe help others if you feel comfortable with your knowledge. That's really the biggest place to start is that Trailblazer community and the unofficial Slack. Now, in comparison to what you hear within the Salesforce ecosystem, you cannot get a sandbox as easily. There's no click a button and you can get a playground to start playing around. You really need to be part of a company that is a partner of Salesforce. Otherwise, there is an email where you can ask for a trial, but you probably need a good use case to get that 90 days trial. But I've written a blog post about that as well on what that email is. So if you find your way to my site, you will find a how to get a Commerce Cloud Sandbox blog post, where I give all of the different options based on where you are within the ecosystem, a client, a partner, or someone who is looking into, is this something for me to become a freelancer or something like that. But it's not as easy, unfortunately, as it is for the CRM, where you can just go to Trailhead, say create playground and go. That's not going to happen. It's not that easy, unfortunately. But yeah, go to the Trailblazer community, join the Slack group and ask your questions there, and people will be more than helpful to get you started on your journey and point you towards the different documentation that is available to get you started.
That's a good thing to pull out, is don't be afraid to ask those questions. I guess it is something that even if you think, oh, this is a silly question, people are going to look down on me. I think that's what's the unique thing about the Ohana and Trailblazers, is that we'd never think of anything as a silly question. Like, everything is obviously valid at a time in our careers. And so everyone will be happy to answer no matter question no matter what type of question.
As long as you've shown effort that you've been trying to find some stuff on your own and hit a roadblock, it's fine. Don't use it as an easy, like, I'm not going to spend an hour looking and just ask every question that pops in my mind. Other people need their questions answered as well. But if you put out an effort and already share in your question what you've tried, then we already also have some extra information to point you to the right direction and tell you why that wasn't the correct route that you've been taking. Because there are a few people who just ask the question without actually giving context or what they've tried already, and it really makes it hard to help people because you don't know what they've tried already, and you might just be giving the same the same roundabout way before you figure out that they tried those things already, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, which is frustrating on both sides, I guess, because you're like, oh, I already tried that. Well, just good tip: be very detailed in your question. Itemize what you've tried already or what you've looked up already, so that someone can help you quickly, because everyone obviously in our community wants to help, but the most efficient way possible is a good tip. So yes, we called out asking for questions, joining the Slack, Trailblazer communities. So we're in a unique space there, but we've come to the point in the podcast where I do like to ask a fun question. So our fun question today is the same as every other day. Spoiler alert, is if you were an animal, what animal would you be and why?
So it was the hardest question I got, what animal I am, because so I decided to take a test online to see which animals fit me best.
Oh, nice.
Because I was doubting between like a chameleon or something like that, and it turned out I'm a butterfly, which in the same sense.
Oh, beautiful.
It's because I change my roles so often. If you look at the past years, I've gone from developer to the senior developer to architect, and now head of commerce. Also became a father in the past 2 years twice, which means that my role and in life is constantly changing. And I'm also someone who loves to try new things and change their outlook. Like, I've taken evening classes in cooking, well, mostly in desserts. So I've taken 2 years of chocolate.
That's the best meal.
Yeah, I've taken 2 years of evening classes creating chocolate, like pralines, and on baking cookies or cakes or anything like that. So I love trying new things and changing my role in life. I tried baking for bread, my own bread, like the basic way of doing it, just putting everything on a table, molding it together and kneading for 20 minutes, which I would not recommend if you are short on time. Buy a machine, that makes it a lot easier. But yeah, so I love trying new things and seeing what I can learn besides what I see at work.
Yeah,
because it gives you a new perspective.
It does. You're right. Opening our minds to new things and trying new things. I think that is the best animal. I might say this every time someone else tell me, but I loved this one. This is amazing. Butterfly. This is good. No, good. That Google search that we were talking about, that Googling the what animal am I with a test, that was a great idea. Comes back to us being resourceful.
Otherwise I would have come with maybe a dog because that's my favorite, but it doesn't really fit what I am. I love dogs, but it's
So I do like to turn over the mic, I guess, to my guests as like an open mic session to kind of promote, encourage, reiterate, give some words of wisdom. Over to you, Thomas.
Yeah, so of course, the Unofficial Slack is something I love to advertise for anyone who is interested in B2C Commerce Cloud or the order management. So we're spreading our wings a little bit because the Commerce Cloud platform is becoming a bit more connected. It is becoming a lot more connected with all of the other products. So if you have questions and you don't know where to turn, there's the Unofficial Slack. Of course, you also have the Trailblazer community where you can ask your questions, but the Slack is really where it's at, and I'd love for everyone to join. Even if you don't have questions at the moment, just join and watch what people are talking about, because also events that are happening, people setting up meetings or other things are also being shared there. So if you want to know what's going on in the community and also within Salesforce, is a perfect place to be, because it's also Salesforce has a lot of people on that Slack channel. So you have a direct line to people at the mothership, which is also a fun thing to have. And the second thing is, if you want to support a good cause and still get something out of it, go to Shirtforce. There's a lot of fun Salesforce t-shirts available there for you to buy, and all of the profits go to a good cause that changes every 4 months and is selected by the community, and all of the profits go towards that that good cause. So there's like 50 designs now, I think, already, or even more.
Wow.
So there's a lot to choose from, and there's more designs being added every month at the moment. So we're picking up the pace again. And yeah, if you have some ideas yourself, feel free to poke me or Todd with your ideas, and we can see what we can make happen and put them also
maybe we'll see
in the list.
Commerce Cloud shirt.
Yeah, there is already one.
Oh my gosh,
a headless design for headless commerce, and there's more underway.
Oh, good.
But yeah, there's so many different products within Salesforce, so there's a lot of different people wanting to get their designs live. I think the last one was for DevOps. Suggest everyone takes a look, and if they recognize the logo, it's a fun take. It's a fun thing to do.
So we'll put those links in the show notes to anyone that wants to head over and check out your blog, the Slack channel, and Shirtforce. Thank you for sharing those. But mostly, thank you for being with us, Thomas. I appreciate you spending the time with us. I know that you're a recent Golden Hoodie, so there's lots of people trying to knock on your door. But it's an exciting experience and time for you, and I hope it goes well and hope you had fun.
Yeah, I did. It's been a fun experience.
Well, thank you for tuning in from across the world. I appreciate it.